to Life Change Solutions, a podcast for hope, health, and happiness. First of all, I want to thank all of you for listening. I've gotten wonderful comments and questions, and we'll be addressing 2 of those today. I also want to thank Marianne for sharing my book with so many people that she called me and said, I ran out of books, and I found out that you're on Audible. So while I was working out today, I was able to listen to your book on Audible. So just to let y'all know that my book is on Audible. It is also in Spanish for anyone who would like to, or knows of anyone that would like to read it in Spanish. So today we're having just a little bit different podcast. We've been talking a lot about what happens when you get unwanted change, or unwanted changes just thrust upon you and you have to make changes in your life. And we went through the stages of change, or the steps of change. They're very similar for what we're going to talk about today, and that is what to do when you have desired change, when you want to make a change in your life, and yet you're having a hard time finding that motivation or getting to that place where you actually can make that change. So today, in response to a couple of questions that are very similar, so I'm gonna read you the questions, and I think this is what's going on in these questions is very common, and it will help many people out there. So the first one was from a listener who said, I've gained 30 pounds over the pandemic and now have so much stress with family situations that I just can't get motivated to lose weight and to be healthy. And the second listener, very similar, said, I know I need to exercise, but I can barely get out of bed and get to work, and I'm just a bum. Well, interesting enough, this morning I was asked to go for a walk with a friend, and she relayed a story of very similar circumstances to the first one. She said to me, as we were walking, that she had, during the pandemic, her health had deteriorated. She was in a lot of pain. She had some other illnesses, and she wasn't doing the workouts or eating as well as she should have been. And finally, she just made the decision that I need to do this for my health. So she just got up, and every morning now she walks consistently every single morning. When I asked her what motivated her, and she said that because of the severe health problems, she just knew that she had to do it for her health. So her thoughts changed from being in so much pain to, I know I need to do this for my health. She stayed motivated because she feels so much better. And so she's continuing to walk. And I think that in itself helps us stay motivated and get motivated to know we're going to feel so much better. Then I had the opportunity to speak with a guy friend, and his name's Richard, and he said he had a similar story. He told me, but recently he's lost 27 pounds. And I said, Richard, how did you lose 27 pounds? And he said the same thing, that during the pandemic, he had just kind of let things go. And he was thinking to himself, I'm old. It doesn't really matter. Why should I bother? And then one day he was sitting, eating some ice cream, and the thought just came to his head, I'm 55 years old. I can do something. I need to do something about this. And that thought changed how he then was able to take action. And he started to water jog. So he would get in the water and he would jog for an hour. And then he realized after he was jogging, he said, I realized I need to do some weightlifting. I need to get some strength. So he started to get back to the gym. And he had previously, before the pandemic, been pretty regular going to the gym and working out. And so he knew how that felt. And he's been consistent for the last, little while, because I hadn't seen him in a while. And he said that just that feeling good has made him stay motivated and kept him doing it. So I'm going to go through kind of the steps or those stages that both of those two friends did. And very similar to the stages of change when something happens to us, it's the same as when we want desired change. And in particular, weight loss. Now, a little bit about my background before we go into this is I've been a personal trainer for over 38 years. I've been helping people lose weight. And I can tell you that the majority of my clients want to lose weight and be healthy. Some of them I train that they're training for running, or they need to cross-train, or different events, or, beauty pageants or something like that. But on the whole, most of my clients want to lose weight and be healthy. So even without the pandemic, this is something that they want to do, but they need a motivator, and they call me so that I can help motivate them. And I do. So one instance with that was just recently I had a client, and she had come to our session, and actually she was in my water aerobics class, and she just said, I just know I need to do something more. So she asked if she could personal train. I said, certainly. And she dragged herself to the training, she said, I just didn't want to be here. I just want you to know I had to drag myself here. I don't want to be here. And she said she just was depressed. There's so much going on in her life. She had some ailments. She'd fallen and she was in a lot of pain, and her legs hurt. She'd got COVID. And so her body was aching. She had some family stressors, and she was just trying to make this change, but it was really hard. But she came to the session. That was number one. She just came, even though she really didn't want to be there. And she told me she didn't want to be there. So as we worked, I was able to do some talk therapy and have her do some self-talk. And during that session, she said that she could feel her spirits lifted. And that's the interesting thing about when we just start to work out. And if this, I hope, motivates you over anything else, all you have to do is just start moving. And the dopamine levels, the endorphins lift in your brain. So when that starts, then we can do some positive self-talk. And that's what we did. And by the end of our session, she said to me, you changed my life today. And now as a personal trainer, that's just an awesome thing. So what changed? What was that change that happened with her? And we're going to go through a little bit of those stages of change. First of all, she went through denial, same as Richard, this denial that there's really no purpose. I don't want to do it. It's too hard. And, why should I bother? And then the second was changing the thoughts to both Richard and my other friend and this client said, I know I need to do something more. And just that change of thought, I know I need to do it. And so dragging her out and changing that, we've talked about mindfulness matters. Those thoughts matter. So that thought initiated the change. And that self-talk then that we talked about, and Richard said that he gave himself a lot of self-talk about how good it is for him, how he needs to do this, that he doesn't want to end up like his parents, and that he really felt like that self-talk really helped him to move forward. And the same with my client when we talked about positive things and instead of the unproductive things, the stressors, which those are really important to deal with, is what. And the first thing I do talk with my clients about, what is it that's preventing you from working out? Tell me what those stressors are in your life. And then we talk about how we can reframe those stressors and change them And one of the things is recognize that working out is going to help you deal with those stressors. Those stresses in your life, that working out, because it will change how you see and perceive things. So changing our thought processes and reframing. Some of the examples of reframing that that Richard did was that he said, I'm only 55, I can do something. He changed that from I'm too old, what's the point, to I'm 55, I can do something. So changing those thoughts, and we'll get a little bit more into that. And then when we want to stay motivated, we look at change, and if it's really happening, we look at a 6 month to 1 year. And so once you get that 6 months into 1 year, you know you've made that change, and you will consistently keep on doing that. Usually you'll keep on doing it. So what changed for my client wasn't that she was the actual exercise, but it was more that mindset change, changing those unproductive thoughts to productive thoughts. And then while we worked out, reframing some of the negative thoughts that she had into positive. And then that along with the moving, that along with the exercise, raised the dopamine, raised the endorphins to lift her mood so she felt good. And so the next time she came for a workout, she remembered that feeling. Same with Richard. He remembered the feeling of how good it felt. The same with my friend who I was walking with. She remembered the feeling of how much better she felt after she worked out versus just staying in bed. So with the two listeners, I would like you to think about how you can change I'm a bum to I'm a hard worker. She works an 8-hour day, so I'm a hard worker. Or I have too many family stressors to working out will help me with these stressors. So changing those negatives into positives, I will talk a lot about that probably throughout our podcasts. And in my book, there's a whole section on reframing. And if you pick up my book, there's sections where you can actually write in there. And writing is really, I think, one of the most essential things for our mindset change. So how do we get motivated to lose weight when we just are not motivated? There's so many different things work for different people. So many different things will click in someone's head. I had one client who she would go through the motions, and I've had that a lot with my clients where they'll go through the motions, but until they get the mindset, they don't have the success that they want. Once they get the mind change, that mindset change, it's almost as if a switch turns on and immediately they start getting the success that they want, the results that they want. So that mind-body connection, I cannot tell you how imperative it is. So I'm going to give you a couple of things that I've used in my own life and that I use with my clients. And I hope they'll be helpful for you. I'll have a couple other guests on that use different approaches, but this is what works for me and has worked for my clients. The number one thing I would say, or the first thing, is to know your why. Why is it that you want to make that change? Know your why. What is your why? What do you want to lose weight for? Decide specifically what it is why you want to do it and what it is you want to accomplish. And be very specific and write it down. When we write things down, we're using more senses and we will have a lot more success than if we just think about it. Writing it down puts it onto paper, ingrains it in our brains, and we can always look back at it. So when I say be specific, it's I want to lose a certain amount of weight in a certain amount of time. And you can say, for example, I want to lose 20 pounds in 3 months. That's doable. To lose 20 pounds in a week, that's not doable. So make those things doable. I want to, and have a number in your head. Sometimes these are things that have worked with my clients. They may not work for you. So you pick things that will work for you. Have a number in your head of where you want to get, what that weight that you feel the most comfortable at looks like. Write it down, write the number down. And then, or maybe something, how you want to look. I want to have more muscle tone in my arms. Write it down. Be specific about those things that you want. The second is visualize. Visualization is so important. In fact, a lot of times with my groups and my clients, we do an activity and I have it in my book, and it's unbelievable how wonderfully it works. The first picture I have people draw is how you see yourself right now. And then what is your biggest problem? And then the third, that would be on a separate page. And then the third is, how can I get that problem solved? What do I need to do to get that problem solved? Those visuals are I can't even tell you how many success stories I've heard from my groups, my mind-body medicine groups. And they look at the final picture and they're like, wow, I did all of that. And I accomplished what I wanted to accomplish. So visualizing, seeing it in your brain helps you manifest it. Whatever that may be, I want you to visualize yourself doing it, actually doing it. So that would maybe look like in the morning, I'm going to get up. I'm going to take some deep breaths in and exhale and visualize what it is I want to do. The third thing is to make a specific plan. We can have all these ideas and visualize in our head, but if we don't make a plan, generally we don't get it done. So I tell my clients, I want you to tell me what time it is you're going to work out. Plan it. Write it down in your planner, just like you write down your appointments. It's an appointment with yourself, and it's the most important appointment. I think of health as the most important thing we can do, because we can't do anything else. If we're sick and ill, we can't work, we can't do anything else. So I consider my body just a sacred thing so that I can accomplish the other things in my life that I want to. So make a plan. I make a plan, and I would highly recommend, if you can, do it first thing in the morning. And there's some reasons for that. A lot of the hormones in our brain are highest in the morning. So we have more energy, we can get more done, and we burn more fat. So getting it first thing in the morning, and the other thing is you get it done with and you don't have to worry about it. Now, that's not possible for everybody. So Richard, he can't do that in the morning because his schedule is such, he's working really long hours. So as soon as he's done with work, he goes to do his exercise. So it is different for everyone. Always have a backup plan as well. If I don't get it done when I planned it, here's my backup plan. I'm going to do this, whether it's go for a walk at night before you go to bed or after dinner. And I highly recommend walking. It's very therapeutic. And I tell people, once you stop walking, you stop walking. So keep walking. So even if it's a walk in the morning, and one of the things that studies have shown is that walking first thing in the morning helps you sleep better. So we have something called the circadian rhythm, and how our bodies actually function best and how we sleep best. So actually getting a walk in, getting that sunlight in first thing in the morning is really, really good. I know that some of you are in cold weather and getting out in the morning is really rough, but at some point in the day, get outside and get some sun. So the other thing that I want to point out is, yes, plan the night before what you're going to do the next day. But then in the morning, before you even hop out of bed, I want you to visualize that workout. Visualize what your plan is. Take a deep breath in. Bring that visualization into your body. And when you get out of bed, you'll have more energy to do it. And we're going to talk a little bit about breath work. Breath work is so important because we exhale 70% of the toxins in our body through our breath. We release them through our breath. So really taking that deep breath in through your nose and then exhaling with force out. So I have a Qigong video on my YouTube channel. If you have not subscribed to my YouTube channel, there are 3 small workouts. So if you need a backup plan, go to my channel, subscribe to it. They are short. One is just a Qigong and yoga video, and the other are 2 things you can do in your house. Two short exercise programs you can do in your house with no equipment. And that can be your backup plan. I made those videos during the pandemic when I couldn't teach my classes, and the participants in my group were just like, can you please do something for us? So they're very short and easy to do, and anyone can do them. I show options for anyone. So check those out. And that's where we come to that action and that breath work portion. So if you can think about taking those deep breaths in, even when you're working or when you are stagnant or when those thoughts come into your head that are, I call them the opponent thoughts, then take the deep breath in and exhale. And one of the things I really like is to give people a mantra or have my clients think of their own mantra. Now, mine mantra, where I just kept repeating it in my mind, was happy, healthy, vibrant, and pain-free. Because at the time, if you know a little bit about me, I've had several health issues that have caused me pain. And one was rheumatoid arthritis, where I could barely walk. So I would repeat that. And then I started rollerblading because I couldn't walk or run. So I did something fun that I could do. So find those things you can do. Like Richard found he could water jog. Find the things that you can do, and don't ruminate or dwell on the things you can't do. So that mindfulness and the breathing to do those things, that is, that's the self-talk that Richard talked about. It also helps you stay motivated. So that, and there's several different ones. If you could for a moment right now think about 3 words that could be your mantra. Perhaps they're healthy, vibrant, pain-free. That was mine. Energy, vitality, and health. Just repeat it, and repeat it 6 times, at least 6 times during the day. They found that this number 6 in Qigong, I don't know why, but they always use at least 6 times. So with that breath work, same thing. If you can take those deep breaths in for at least 6 times, it makes a difference. And then during the day, when you make those eating choices, that breath, that mind-body connection will help you make better eating choices. And at night, when you're tempted to eat things maybe you shouldn't, some comfort food, that breath work and those mantras can really help. And then I want to go back to what I ended with last week is mindfulness matters, and reframing. So reframing, I'm too tired, to I want more energy, because those thoughts are going to come into your head. I'm too tired, I just can't do it today. To I want to have more energy today, or my health is worth the effort, or the Vic says I can't do it, to I can squeeze in a walk today. There's nothing more important than my health. So those type of self-talk, just little things in your brain can make a huge difference. So the question that I have gotten a lot is, what keeps me motivated? How did I get to where I am? And how do I stay fit at 59 years old? And it started when I was 14 years old. And I'm going to give a shout out to a friend of mine. Her name is Jill, and she lived kind of close to me, but not close enough that we could start out together as a jog. So we decided when we were 14 that we were both playing soccer at the time, and we wanted to be more in shape and be able to play better and have more endurance. So we decided we were going to jog in the mornings. So I came from my house, she came from her house, and we met in the middle and we jogged. And I would say we maybe jogged 2.5, maybe 3 miles at the most. By the time we jogged, met each other, jogged to where our destination was, and then we jogged home. So that was really the beginning of my journey to fitness and health. And then I saw my mother, who was the most energetic person I know, but she raised 7 kids, and she put all of her time into those children and did not take care of herself as much because, like all these excuses, I don't have time. How am I going to fit it in? And sometimes it's really hard. So that then caused her to have some serious injuries because of weight gain. So she ended up having 2 major back surgeries. We talked about this in my last podcast, 2 knee replacements. And I saw that, and I was with my mom for those and helped her recover through those. And it made an impression on me that I never want to be like that. And we have a genetic disorder in our family with our discs in our back and our low back. So I knew that could very easily happen to me. My siblings have had the same issues. So I decided that I never want that to happen. And then when my mom had the knee replacements, and I was teaching fitness at that time, I went to learn about how to prevent that from happening to anyone, because that's a really invasive, hard recovery. If any of you know, they actually cut out the whole knee and replace it with a metal one. It's a really, really difficult, and I can't even express how invasive that is to your body. So I thought, I never want that to happen either, and I don't want it to happen to anyone else. So I went to a lot of places to learn, and conventions, and getting my continuing education to learn how to help people so that they do not have that same thing happen. And then I started teaching classes for aging populations, and continued my own workouts so that I could be an example, and that I could always feel good and be able to help others. Because I truly believe that our bodies are instruments through which we can be a positive influence in the lives of others. So keeping it healthy and strong, eating the right amount of nutrition, vitamins, minerals, drinking plenty of water. And then I'm going to touch on the sleep a little bit, because sleep is really the number one thing to good health. In fact, I mentioned that in my book. Without sleep, we cannot have a good, healthy body. So getting that 7 to 9 hours of sleep is essential. And I will have a podcast that talks strictly on sleep and suggestions to help you, because that was another comment that one of the listeners gave, is I have such a hard time sleeping. So try to get that 7 to 9 hours of sleep. If you exercise, you will sleep better. Add in some yoga and mind-body medicine, that the breath work, where you can learn to slow your breath down, helps you sleep better. So these things that we talked about today will help you sleep better. And then the good nutrition that I talked about, I always start my day with a warm glass of lemon water. It helps detoxify. There's so many benefits for it, and I'll get into that a little bit more. I'm just giving you some tips today, so this doesn't go on too long, but I want you to know that has helped me and many of my clients to really start their day out and detoxify the liver and such. Drinking plenty of water is so essential. I have a whole section in my book about the importance of drinking water and the healing properties of water. One thing that Richard and I talked about is how good you feel when you're in water. And all of my aerobics ladies, shout out to my aerobics ladies, they all say afterward they feel so much better. There's healing properties in water, even just getting in the water. If you have inflammation, it helps dissipate that through your body a little bit so that it's not in that one point. So I would highly recommend, if you can and you are in pain, get in the water. And then as far as nutrition, I'm pretty basic. I don't believe in a lot of fad diets or only eating this and only eating that. I eat clean. So I try to eat as clean as I can. I eat a lot of fruits and vegetables. My protein, I don't eat any, I eat very little meat. And if I do, it's grass-fed and no hormone-free. And then, but mostly I eat fruits and vegetables. I get my protein sources from fish, a lot of it from fish, and lentils. I love lentil soup. I make it a lot. I use red and green lentils. I put in all my soups. And then also I because I've had some digestional issues, I've used bone broth, and it has a lot of protein in it. Again, it's organic and grass-fed and hormone-free, so, and antibiotic-free. You want to look at those types of things. So eating clean as you possibly can. And then plan your meals. Just like you plan your exercise, plan your meals. Eating your heaviest meal at lunch, and then try not to eat any later than 5, 6 at the latest. Studies show that you'll have a lot more success if you don't eat late at night. And like I said, when you're tempted at night to eat, go for a walk. I walk pretty much every night after dinner. And I lived in Europe, and that's just what they do. They walk after dinner. They just go for a stroll. And then keeping that food journal. Again, writing is so essential. So when I think about food and the success my clients have had, keeping the food journal makes a huge difference. You will see results if you keep that food journal. And not only just writing down what you ate and when, but then the next day, how you feel, because what you eat the day before will affect how you feel. And then the daily exercise, the one thing I can just say, as you've seen with the success of Richard and my other friends, is consistency. Consistency counts. I have a client, he is 80 this year, and he went through a kidney transplant, and I want to have him on the podcast. So we may have to Zoom him in because he's immune compromised, but he works out with me twice a week. And he has ever since he got out of the hospital and was able to work out. He went from his muscle atrophy to he can now hold a plank for a minute, and he's 80 years old. So he's awesome. And just one of the just being consistent. Consistency really makes a difference. And like I said before, when you first wake up, I do Qigong, and there's a little Qigong video. I do that breath work and ground myself, and it helps me visualize how I want to be, how I want to feel. Exercising first thing in the morning, like I mentioned, walk for at least 10 minutes after dinner. And if you can, walk in the morning, get out into the sunlight. Recruit a friend, just like my friend who called me. You do 10 times better if you can do it with somebody. You're accountable to someone. If you can't, hire a trainer or a spouse or a child to walk with you. And if you don't have any of those, listen to a podcast, listen to my podcast, or music that is uplifting to help you on that walk. I listen to lots of podcasts at night, or books. So I'm in a book club, so I listen to my book on my phone as I'm walking. And then the last thing, make your exercise fun. And I talked about my friend Marianne, who gave all her books away and listened to it on Audible. When I first met her, she came to me because she wanted to lose 20 pounds. And she walked every morning on her treadmill, but she had a daycare in her home. And that was, she was rushing, walking through, getting it done, going through the motions. And so we sat down and I said, okay, I don't see you doing anything for yourself that's fun. What can you do that's fun? And she decided to take dance lessons, and she ended up competing in ballroom dance, and she had a lot of fun with it, and she lost the 20 pounds. So make it fun. For me, making it fun was rollerblading. I learned how to play pickleball. So learn a new sport. Do something that maybe you haven't done that you've always wanted to. Line dancing, that's exercise. So find something that's fun. Well, those are my tips. I hope they motivated you, and I hope that you can also have the success that you've heard Richard had, that you heard my other friend that I walked with have, and my client. Just by changing that mind, remember to be mindful. If I can stress anything, remember to be mindful. That mind-body connection is so essential to our successes, both with unwanted change and with desired change. Thank you for listening to Life Change Solutions. I hope this has helped you. And if you would like this, please leave a 5-star review and please share it with anyone you know that would like to lose weight or needs to be motivated for whatever thing in their life. These things can apply to exercise, to working out, to eating, to other goals you may have in your life. Those stages of change and change reframing, everything we talked about can help you accomplish that desired change. That's the goal of this podcast, is to get us through change with hope, health, and happiness. And I guarantee if you start to exercise, you will have hope, health, and happiness. Be sure to, like I said, leave a 5-star review if you like this podcast, and to follow me on my podcast or wherever you listen to podcasts, and also to look up my YouTube channel for those videos that I talked about, as well as you can find me on My Life Change Solutions. And then also I will put in the notes below my email. People have had a challenging time trying to leave comments, especially on Apple. So if you, and people, please leave them on my Facebook page if you can't do it there. And I will respond to those comments. And I will, as I did today. And if I don't know the answer, I will get someone in here who can help us through the changes that you have.